Are you living the life that you truly want for yourself?
On today's episode, we're going to be talking about what you can do to live the life you want by developing a clear vision.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Manifestation Mindset, where we talk about developing the mindset of manifesting, overcoming emotional challenges, and breaking through the limitations that hold you back. We are your hosts. I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendez Garcia, and we go live on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific time, and we post new episodes on Thursdays. And if you want to get the live notifications, click the subscribe button. Also, remember to like the video and hit the bell icon to receive notifications of when we go live.
So today we're talking about vision, and we're at the end of 2020, and we just finished Christmas. So I want to say Merry Christmas, a belated Merry Christmas to everybody that's out there watching. And we're getting close to New Year's, and this is the time where people are going to be doing their New Year's resolutions. What do you want to be different in your life in 2021 than you saw in 2020? And hopefully every year you've been growing in some way, shape, or form. And now it's just another opportunity to keep growing. And we're going to be talking about the vision, a vision of what you want your life to be like from here on out. And we are going to be the creators. And as we talk about vision, we have a quote here for you guys today.
All right. So I'm reading a quote from a book here. It's called This is Bob Proctor. There it is. And Bob Proctor, we would say, is one of our mentors because we've been studying him for several years now. And on this chapter, it's talking about vision. And the quote here is talking about Helen Keller. It says, many years ago, Helen Keller was asked if she thought there was anything worse than being blind. She quickly replied that there was something much worse. She said, the most pathetic person in the world is a person who has their sight but no vision. Any thinking person would quickly agree with Helen Keller. Helen Keller was blind.
And deaf.
And deaf, yeah. So, for her to say that is, she even had a vision even though she was blind.
And learn to actually speak language without ever being able to hear a sound, maybe like little bitty sounds. But the way that she had learned was there was a lady who was like a caregiver for her who started to actually like do certain sign language in her hand, which she can feel, and would put like objects in her hand and put like a certain symbol or something that she can recognize. And she started to understand, wow, that's what this is. That's what this is mean. And she just got so excited because she never was able to experience language before, and developed a system for her to be able to communicate with people. And realizing that even though she's blind and she's deaf, she was still able to figure out a way to communicate. And that was based off of a dream, a vision that she wanted to be able to communicate, to talk, to speak, because she was never able to do that before. But in our visions, we all have a vision for something. And what was interesting about that quote was it's that person who can see and has all these things around them, but has no vision or purpose for their life. It's not that they can't create or do anything. It's more that they've never really tried or thought about, or maybe not even believed that they can create a vision of their life.
And a lot of times this gets clouded by society, by family, by friends, or by things that people watch and things like that. So that's why it's so important to surround yourself with the right people who are going to encourage you. And, if sometimes we can't help but we're being born into a family that maybe treats you badly, and until you're able to move out on your own, then, you could start your own life separately from that. But, it's hard when you're a child, but the good thing is that you have these experiences to teach you. And you're born into a family, say it's negative, and everyone's negative around you. You have that contrast to be able to tell, well, do I want to live my life in this way? And it's there to show you, like, wow, like I want something more than this. I want to live a happier life than this.
And I believe that somewhere down within all of us, we have that drive And there are some that choose not to exercise that, but there's something that they still want because that is part of our spirit. Our spirit is always for expansion and fuller expression. And when we stifle it from creating, from doing things even better in our life, then that's when a lot of discord and disharmony happens within our own psyche. And that's why you see a lot of things like depression, suicidal rates that are going, because it's like people give up on their visions, on their dreams, or never really believe that they can even have one. And that was something that was very insightful for me. Before I get into that, just want to say hello to a few people that are joining with us today. We have Gil Solis is joining with us. Says, good afternoon. Hope you had a very Merry Christmas.
Yeah, we sure did.
We had a long Christmas. It was a lot of late nights. In fact, we're still we're recovering right now. We've been kind of quarantined ourselves here in our house because staying up really late. We got a little cold under the weather. So we just wanted to stay inside, make sure that everybody was staying safe. But we're doing so much better now, and we hope you guys had a very Merry Christmas as well.
Yeah, remember to keep your immune system up, get enough rest, plenty of sleep, and I'll take your vitamins.
Oh, and he also says, and a Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year.
I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year. We will do a New Year's episode here for you guys because it does fall on our Thursday, so we will join with you guys 2 p.m. on that day as well. So make sure you guys join us. And if you haven't done so far right now, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and get that little bell notification so you know when we have a new video that's posted. So going back to vision, I remember when I had always these big goals, big dream, and one when I was in school, I followed the same, common sense that most people would follow, especially from parents. Was you go to school, you get your education, you go to college, you get a degree in something, then you get a career, you get your job that you spend the rest of your life working in and making a living. And I followed that concept, but I had these big dreams of what I wanted to do. And at that time, when I was probably my first year of college, I decided I wanted to be a doctor. And not only that, I wanted to be a chiropractor. And I did all that I could to figure out what I could do in order to make that vision a reality. So I took the steps and asked counselors, what classes do I have to take? How long is it going to take me? What's it going to cost? And I figured out a way. And it was a 10-year process from that time. And I got my degree. I went to school. I was in clinical practice for a few years. And it was interesting. It's something that when I got into personal development back in 2009, something was, I wanted something more. I saw some greater things within myself, and I started hearing these things about goals and about visions. And one thing I realized over time was I following my vision or my dream, or was I following a vision that I thought other people wanted for me? And that was a huge discovery for me because I understood that why at times I might not have been truly satisfied or happy is because I realized that I was doing this for other people rather than doing it for myself.
So that's why it's so important to, when you're designing your vision and your goals of what you want, is really do this for you. Don't do it for anybody else but yourself. Otherwise, you're going to go through life trying to please everyone else, and you're going to remain unsatisfied. And you're going to remain feeling empty and like, why am I doing this? So it's very important to really, dig deep and, ask yourself, like, am I doing this for me or am I doing this for others? And, sometimes you'll find yourself, saying, oh my gosh, like, this isn't for me at all. It's what other people think I should do or what other people want me to do. And, especially when you're young in high school and, your parents are like, oh, well, I think you should do this, or we think you should do that. But it's not, they're not really telling you or asking you the right questions. Like, well, what would you love to do? Mm-hmm. And I think that's a question that, that we should, as parents, ask our kids, like, what would you love to do? Like, what's something that you truly love and, that you would be happy doing, whether you got paid or not?
Yeah. It reminds me of the story, since we're still in the holiday spirit here, we're still in December. Christmas isn't over yet. We still got the decorations up. But it always reminds me of the Christmas Story. We were watching a lot of the Christmas movies here for the holidays, and Christmas Story is always one of those classics that we tend to watch. And it It reminds me of when Ralphie, if you guys have seen it, and he's at the mall and he's going to see Santa Claus and he's standing in line, and all he wants is that Red Ryder BB gun. And it's all he can think about. That was his vision for the whole movie. He just desired that. That whole movie was him getting this BB gun. And he's in the line with Santa Claus, and he finally makes his way up, and they're about to close. He sits on Santa's lap, and he's so terrified of Santa when he's sitting on his lap that his mind just goes blank. And he forgets what it is that he truly wants in his life. And Santa says, "What do you want for Christmas, little boy?" And he's just like a blank stare, like, And Santa's just like, "Well, how about a nice football? That's what you would want." And he's thinking like, "Yeah, that's what I want. I want a football." And he pushes him along the way down the little slide, and then he snaps back into reality and realizes, "I don't want a football. I want this." And he's trying to tell Santa, "This is what I truly want." And this is something that we teach our daughter as well, is you can't receive anything if you don't ask for what it is that you truly want. And so that's our question for you, that if you're watching, is what do you truly want in your life? And that's why the title of this episode is really how you want to create your life. What do you want? And that's the biggest question that we can all ask is, what is it that I want to do? What is it that you want to do? What do you want to create? Not what somebody else feels like you should have in your life, not what other people are telling you should create. What do you want to create?
But also going back to that story, when he finally told Santa what he wanted, that BB gun, what was Santa's response? He said, "You'll shoot your eye out." So now it's almost like Santa crushed his dream of wanting a BB gun. And how many people have done that to us? Of like, maybe we tell a person like, "Hey, this is what I want to do," and then you get shut down by other people like, "Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you don't have the skills or talents to do that." And a lot of times we get discouraged by others, and so we don't follow through with what we say we want because of everything going on around us or people telling us we can't do something. For me, when somebody would tell me, "Oh, you can't do that," I would do it anyway, and regardless of what others told me. In my mind, I wouldn't say anything or try to fight it, but I would, in my mind, I would say, "Oh, you watch me do it. I'm like I'm like I'm gonna do it anyways, and you're gonna watch me do it." And so I already had this, I would say, like a strong mindset growing up because I got told many times like I couldn't do something, and it was like I had to prove it not just to them but to myself. Like if that was something that I truly wanted. I wanted to prove it to myself that I could do it regardless of what other people told me.
Yeah. And so when we were creating this vision for you, is this something you want to take time to sit with? And this is an exercise that we went through with some friends of ours years ago as I was trying to figure out what I really wanted to do, when I had all these ahas and epiphanies in my life, when I realized, wow, I've really been doing this to please others. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed my school and my education. I still use it to this day. But what I wanted to do with it was completely different. There was just something I wanted something bigger, something was greater, and where I can help more people. And the avenue that I was doing it in, it didn't seem to fit me very well in what I was doing. But then we sat and went out in nature, we meditated, and I just took a journal out and a piece of and a pen, and just started writing down what it is that I wanted, and just allow whatever came to me to flow without any, "Oh, you can't do this," or "Do I have the skills to do that?" That's one of the biggest things that where people get stopped is the how starts to go and click into their mind. Well, how are you going to do that? You don't have the ability, you don't have the skill set, you don't have the money, and that will just crush the vision right then
Yeah,
and
that'll
there.
stop people.
And so when I was doing this, I was writing things down, like, okay, what do I really want? I just wrote it down. No one's going to judge that. It's for my eyes to see only. And it was great to see it with my physical eyes on paper, because I was telling myself this is what I wanted, but I wasn't doing that in my life. And there is power to that. When people talk about this, when they say write down your goals, because there's an energy when you're transferring that from your mind onto paper. I highly believe that, because there is something when you can see it, it becomes even more real to you. And from there, at that moment, it was telling me, this is what you want to focus on. This is what you're really interested in, what makes you happy. And I started to do things to help drive more towards that vision. Take some time. Many things have changed since that moment. But when I sat down and really, when you're creating your life, is ask yourself this question: what is it that I truly want in my life? And go free flow and just write down on paper. Let your mind relax. Get in a quiet environment where no one's going to distract you, and just write down what it is that you want, because you are the creator of your life. You can do whatever it is that you want. And whenever you have any of that doubt in your mind that comes in that says, "Oh, again, you can't do that. What are other people going to think?" You want to shut those voices off and just allow yourself to flow on that piece of paper, and you'll be surprised what comes out.
Also, if you're having a little trouble with that and deciding, ask yourself, if money and time wasn't an issue, what would I love to do? Like, if you could do something without even getting paid for it, what would that be? Something that you truly love and, that brings you joy and excitement. And that could, help you to narrow down what it is that you like. And then you can combine your skills and talents that you already have into what you love. And if you need a skill in order to do what you love, it's never too late to go and learn something. So there's always plenty of time to learn something new.
But first, you have to know what it is that you want to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And so the beginning process of any creation is knowing what it is that you want. Like going back to the story of Ralphie, he knew what he wanted. He wasn't thinking about towards the end of the movie, oh, this is what I want. It was like from the very beginning scene of what he wanted for Christmas. It's like, what do you guys want for your Christmas in your life? And if you are unclear of what that is, take time to write that down. And don't beat yourself up if you can't figure that out right away. It might take you some time to figure that out. Excuse me, it's clearing my throat. And so when you're thinking about your vision, take your time with it. Don't try to rush it, because you want to really feel what it is you truly want. You'll know you're getting closer when it starts to light you up. It's a feeling that happens on the inside. You get excited. You're like, oh my God, that's what I truly want. And what's interesting is a lot of times it might not be just more income in your life, which a lot of people say, why I want more money. Well, there's a reason why you want more money. Is what is it that you want? Do you want to travel more? Do you want to play an instrument? Do you want to develop certain skills? Do you want to have a better relationship with your children, with your spouses? Do you want to attract better relationships into your life? Do you want better health? What is it that you want? And when you decide that, that's when you go to the writing process and clearly define what that looks like for you, until you can get such a strong feeling on the inside, it becomes real for you in your mind's eye, because this is where all creation starts.
Yeah, so it's like you really have to see it and feel it, because when you tie in that emotion into your vision of, like, when you close your eyes and you just see yourself doing whatever it is that you love to do, but you feel that joy, like Aaron was talking about, and you feel that's what really amplifies the energy to bring it forth to manifestation. So a lot of times that emotion is really what drives it. So really get into that feeling when you're creating this and when you're writing down your vision, is put that energy into it. And maybe when you're writing it down, write down how you're feeling in that moment, and just put that emotion, write down the emotion of how you feel, like when you see yourself already doing what it is that you envision. Write down the emotion of it.
Yeah. And what's fascinating about this process is once you clarify that and you write it out, and you might have some different iterations of this. You might want to go back and edit as you go through this, because you'll discover certain things. I said I want this, but as I'm going through this experience, I realize, oh, I actually want this now. I need to clarify that a bit more, because what you ask for, you will tend to receive. And so if you're not entirely sure or clear, because sometimes in our newer visions, we don't know what that experience is like.
Mm-hmm.
Just like knowing, hey, I want to be a doctor, I want to do all these things. That was very exciting for me. But when I had the experience of it, there were certain things that I enjoyed, and there were certain things that I realized I didn't enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to make the change and the shift, and take that knowledge and take that skill set and apply it into a different area. And when we started to do this, and what was interesting is Veronica and I, we did this together. And one of the biggest visions we had was in our vision of our life, we wanted to to work for the both of us. We wanted to do things together. So rather than her and I working in different in fields, and like most husbands and wives, one has they have different careers, and husband goes off for like the 9 to 5, wife does her thing, and then they meet up at home and have dinner with the kids. We wanted to spend more time with each other. We wanted to do these things together because we were both passionate about it. And that's something that we've been actually able to create. And it didn't happen by accident. We created it that way. This is what we wanted. And we are still doing that with this show here for you guys. And we've been doing this for 3.5 years now. And, greater things always envisioned. But when we started to create that vision, like, we didn't know how anything was going to happen. We didn't know how it was going to start, what the result was going to be. And because of that, by law of attraction, we started to be introduced to different people. We had different experiences and opportunities come our way because this is a vision that we wanted. And more keeps coming to us. Have there been challenges? Absolutely. You're going to have challenges because the challenges are where we need to grow. You want to move forward into a different place? That's a whole completely different vibration. And there's going to be some things you need to work on within you to help you push through that in order to see that come to life. And that's, I think, why people tend, when they're creating things, is they're afraid of making those mistakes. They're afraid of when things go wrong. And so they stop before they even begin.
Yeah, so in those challenges, like Aaron mentioned, that's where you grow. And don't allow the challenges to stop you from moving forward. And I think people, they lose hope of their dream or their vision because they run into a challenge. But if you understand that by moving forward through those challenges and learning from them, that's how you're going to get to the next level, because you can't just know everything and expect everything to be perfect from the start, because we're always going to be growing, and every time you move through a different level in your life, a new challenge is gonna occur. Otherwise, you're just going to remain stagnant and not grow. So when you run into these challenges, it's look at it as an opportunity or like an advancement in your life, because it's helping you to maybe restructure a few things. Maybe you have to learn to adapt to something different. And that's what this whole year has been about, is like these challenges and having to adapt to new things, changes, and just the way we go to the grocery store and buy groceries. Now it's completely different from a year ago. So it's like we're learning to adapt to the change, and that's the beauty in all this is how do we do things differently, and we're allowing ourselves to use our brain to think of solutions now.
And change is inevitable. You don't get around change. Like, we can't stay in the exact same second and minute of every single day. Like, even as we're talking in this episode, is the time is changing. Things are changing in this moment. We can't go back to that. And so we are very adaptable creatures, human beings, and the environment's always going to change. It's how we respond to that change that makes the biggest difference. And so when we're working with clients, the one thing that we always work on is, where are they creating resistance in their own life? Are they not willing to make those changes? Is there fear in the background of their mind that's stopping them from moving forward because of a situation? They don't want these things to come up again. They're afraid of getting hurt, or afraid of failure, because if that happens, then XYZ will be the consequence of that. And this is where a lot of people tend to get stuck. And this is when we're creating our vision, is those things may tend to come up. And so as you're writing this down, is realize that you get to be the creator. No one's going to judge that. Your vision is a very fragile seed. Everything begins in your thought. All creation begins in thought. Rob Proctor always talks about everything's created twice, once in your mind and then in reality, because every invention, this live stream that we're doing here for you, recording, this is all created by somebody. It's technology, but it began in someone's thought first. I wonder how we can put people on a screen and talk with each other. And someone figured that out as an idea first, and then they went to work to make it a reality and had to figure out how the circuitry works, how the electricity works, how to get the voices to travel across. This was all figured out, and these resources were always here. It just takes the demand and the supply will come once there's a demand for it.
So next time when you run into a challenge, when you're working towards your goal, your vision, and instead of getting all frustrated and upset and angry about it, understand that this is going to help you move forward. So, because what happens when you get frustrated and angry working towards your vision or goal, you're putting the wrong vibration into what you're working towards. So think about it, like you're creating something that you want for yourself. A challenge happens and now you're frustrated and you're feeling angry and you're putting that anger energy into what you want. Now you're going to start to attract more things that are going to make you upset and angry, and just everything's going to seem to go wrong.
Or delays.
So when you're faced with the challenge, say thank you. Oh, thank you for this, because now you can think of a solution to move forward. And you might not know how to do something, but that's okay, because you're either going to find people that can help you with it, put it out there, ask people, hey, I'm faced with this challenge, and does anyone know how to, and then state it. Because there's always going to be someone out there that knows how to do something that you're challenged with, because most people have already done it, or there's always going to be someone that can help you. And it's always better to have more than one mind working on something. And that's what, the concept of the mastermind comes in place, because it's more than two or more people coming together for a specific cause or purpose, that they're working towards something together. So that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, and like as I said earlier, is your vision is a very fragile seed. You need to nourish it. You need to let it to. There's a gestation period for that vision of yours, that creation. You don't know how long it's going to take you to create that. It might be an object that you're trying to attract into your life. It might be a big dream that you want to do. Whatever that is, each vision has its own time period for it to manifest. And so you want to allow that time. It could be a week, it could be months, it could be years for that to happen. But what's the growth process that's going to happen while you make that? And it may also not show up exactly how you envision it. Sometimes it can turn out even better, but you can only see what you can see right now based on your imagination. So as you start to develop your imagination and you see it in your mind's eye, you start to move towards that. As long as you can feel that, you take that next step forward. And that's what we're talking about, just the visioning process right now, because that's the beginning step. Are there some other steps we need to take? Absolutely. Is action important? Absolutely. But how can we take action if there's no vision behind us and to give us any direction? And so visioneering and having a vision of your life. And the biggest question that we brought to you at the beginning was, what is it that you want? And that is key. Again, when you ask them, what do you want? Then the true answers will start to come out. Oh, you want a football? No, I want a Red Ryder BB gun. Right? That's going to come out. This is what I want. And when you start expressing what it is that you want, you're going to feel that. And when you start to see that come to fruition in your life and manifest, you're going to feel that sense of joy and happiness. And here's the best part. When that manifests, you're going to want something else. There's a new vision, a greater vision, because we're always driving to move forward. We're always creating. We don't just create one thing, then stop, and we're good to go, and we retire.
And it's always going to be changing. So it's like you're not going to stay stagnant, because this world is constantly evolving. We're changing, and once you hit that goal, you're going to come up with something different, like Aaron mentioned. So it's like, learn to work through the challenges, and even thank the universe for all the challenges, because that's where our growth comes in. And it's really take the time to sit in that quiet space and really ask yourself, what would you love? What would you love? Not anyone else, you. And what truly makes you happy, and get into that deep feeling of it, and write it down.
And write it down. And look at it every day. Again, you can change that up. It's very important that you keep that vision alive. And because it is a fragile vision, it's like, just only share that with people that you know will support you in that. If you feel like people are going to criticize you on that, the moment you start to get criticism from other people, it can make that vision very, very shaky. So you have to protect that vision and share with people that will help you and support you in that growth. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help support you in that visioneering process, to help you to grow that. Walt Disney always said, if you can dream it, you can do it. You may not know how it's going to happen. You may not feel like you have the skills or the know-how, but realize that you can do that. There might be some things that you need to learn, and you might have to go back to school. You might need to change careers, whatever that might be. Is there, you're gonna have to make some changes, which can be scary for people. But
Mm-hmm.
once you pass through that fear and you start moving towards that vision, it's almost like there's really no going back. You can go back, but it's like there's that part of you that says, I can't go back now.
Yeah.
And you just keep repeating that process and you start to develop a bigger belief and trust in yourself, in the universe, and that it will provide whatever it is that you truly want in your life. And you keep moving forward. And if you need help, you can always reach out.
And also when you're writing down your vision and your goals, and you keep looking at it, sometimes you'll get like other ideas, like, oh, I want to add this to it, or I want to do this and this, and you just keep adding to it,
Yeah.
and the information will just come to you.
And it just gets bigger and bigger. So we want to thank everybody for watching today's episode. And if you liked it, make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe here to the channel. And also click on that little bell icon if you'd like to know each time when we have a new episode, which is every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. We'd love to have you guys join us. Let us know in the comments what your vision is for the future, what it is you want to create. If this was helpful. Also, let us know here. We'd love to hear from your thoughts. And if there's anything that you would like us to create or talk about here on our show, Manifestation Mindset, that relates to your goals, your vision, your dreams, let us know here and we'll do an episode on that.
Alrighty. Well, we thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.